we become sleepy and when we're more alert. But that body clock gets a little confused after the time change. In fact, studies show it's linked to more heart attacks, strokes, and even fatal car crashes in the days after. To adjust, sleep specialists suggest going to bed 15 minutes earlier each night leading up to the change. Getting outside for morning sunlight can also help reset your internal clock. For the last several years, a bipartisan bill to make daylight saving time permanent has stalled in Congress, but health groups say we should stick with the current standard time and not daylight saving time. And that is connecting the dots.
Nowadays, it is easy to get something delivered to your doorstep. But what do you do if you get a package you didn't order? Many try to figure out who sent it by checking what's in the box, but you should be careful. It might seem like there are no downsides to a free package, but it could be a sign that a fraudster is trying to steal your personal information. The Better Business Bureau has been seeing this uptick in these brushing scams. Juliana O'Rourke with the BBB joining us now. Juliana, explain, what is this brushing scam? How does it work?
Yeah, so brushing scams are essentially when you start to receive packages at your home that you did not order. And oftentimes they don't have a return address or they don't say who they're from. And now they are including QR codes with them that say, you know, scan this QR code to find out who the package came from or how you can start a return. But with all brushing scams, if you scan that QR code, those people are just trying to get your information or potentially put malware on your device.
All right, so what should someone do if they do receive a package they didn't order?
Never scan a QR code if you don't know where it came from. It's not going to give you the information of what you're hoping to get, but you can keep those packages. It actually is legal for you to keep them, so go ahead and do so.
And we know that some people will end up scanning a QR code. So if they do on an unexpected package, what are going to be the next steps in making sure their information is secure?
If you scan that QR code and then you obviously realize it's not giving you the information you want, be very careful and start to double check and make sure you're changing your passwords, check your credit report, your bank account, and your statements just to be sure that nobody has access to any of your personal information or your funds.
And like you said, people don't really need to return the package?
They don't. If for some reason they are able to figure out the company it came from, you know, who sent it to them, you can actually report this to that company, because what ends up happening is these companies are sending these packages and products for free so that they can write fake reviews on behalf of you with your name. So if you figure out the company, first of all, go ahead and report it to them. Companies like Amazon have these policies that are against brushing as well as fake reviews. So definitely do that. Notify them. And just be careful. You know, don't give your information out to anybody that you don't know, and don't scan things that you're not familiar with.
Good information. Thanks, Juliana.
Thank you.
Every morning, your mission is to get ahead of traffic. Our mission is to save you time and get you there safe.
You can trust WCNC Charlotte to alert you to trouble spots impacting your commute. Stay on the move with WCNC Impact Traffic. WCNC Plus. Stream now.
Tonight, a new push to crack down on illegal street racing just like this. We have spent months, really years, covering illegal racing and street takeovers across our area. Now, a tragic accident that took the life of a 6-year-old boy is inspiring change in North Carolina. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre has more.
Since Liam Laguna's death in 2021, his family has pushed for changes in the law to help prevent another loss due to street racing. And Liam's law is a step closer to accomplishing that.
There are 3 things that parents want for their kids and want for this community. We want safe homes, we want safe schools, and we want safe roads.
Liam's law aims to make North Carolina streets safer by cracking down on street racing and increase penalties for offenders whose reckless actions lead to serious injury or death.
Prosecutors across the state will now have the ability to prosecute those street racers for second-degree murder or the equivalent, a B2 felony.
6-year-old Liam Laguna's life was tragically cut short in June of 2021 when 2 street racers lost control, causing a crash with the car Liam and his dad were traveling in.
Because as a father, we want to see our kids grown. We want to see our kids getting married, having kids. And because 2 people that night, they're not being responsible, they take that away from me.
Liam was the best. He was strong, he was funny, he was kind, he was everything that you would think life should be about.
His mother, a force behind the law filed by Representative John Torbett, making sure Liam's legacy lives on.
We want to help other families, even if it had to be this way. I know that this law would really make an impact.
His name will be memorialized forever in the halls and the general statutes of our great state.
A step in the right direction to prevent more tragedies. Jessie Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
Thank you for joining us here on WCNC Plus. Right now, Union County emergency management officials are speaking following today's storm that caused damage across the area.
Let's go ahead and listen in live. Okay, so they are just preparing to speak to the public and the press there in Union County. But we saw earlier this morning when we were streaming that here on WCNC Plus, our Austin Walker was out there looking at a lot of damage and some power lines down that almost seem indicative of very strong winds.
I think he was actually at one point counting the number of power lines that were down in the area, and it shows you how significant the damage there was and how powerful those winds, and obviously that rain was coming down hard. Our Miles Harris is there now assessing the damage. I believe he was on the ground with the National Weather Service.
Yes, and so we had those tornado warnings earlier today, obviously gone. We're left with beautiful blue skies and crisp weather. But what we know about tornadoes, it is not confirmed until crews come in. Let's go ahead again and pick this press conference up. Is she still doing mic checks? Okay. They're trying to go live on their own Facebook page. So
we understand technology.
Yeah, we have our own streaming challenges every once in a while. That will definitely prove evident here today, right now. But we'll wait for emergency officials to possibly confirm if that indeed was a tornado.
And I'm going back through some of the updates Miles has sent us out there on the ground. I mean, you see here on the screen, you know, a fence down near a local high school, or a local school rather, window shattered out of the car, damage to, it looks like a shed, trees toppled over.
If you're recording, Jordan, we can go ahead and get started.
That just shows you sort of the magnitude of the damage there and what those folks had to go through.
Thanks for joining us for an update on the storm damage this morning in Union County. My name is Liz Cooper, and I'm the Director of Public Communications for Union County. Joining us this afternoon is Andrew Ansley, Director of Emergency Management, and Tricia Palmer with the National Weather Service. And then available for questions if needed is UCPS Assistant Superintendent of Student Support, Jared McCraw. So I'll bring up Andrew for a brief overview of the latest information that we can share, and then the National Weather Service will do the same.
All right, good afternoon. I wanted to begin by saying that no injuries were reported during this event, and that's probably the main focus of this storm, is nobody got hurt. Just at a high level, the National Weather Service will provide a little more detail related to the storm. Tornado watch was issued for Union County at 7:49 this morning. That was followed up with a tornado warning at 8:31 that was projected to last till 9 o'clock that morning. At about 8:53, 911 received a call from a resident indicating that they saw what looked to be a funnel cloud in the area of Ridge Road and Friendly Baptist Church Road. Shortly thereafter, we began getting additional calls reporting damages to property, some damage to primary residences and secondary structures, which are barns or outbuildings or sheds. We mustered up 5 damage assessment teams, which is common for a storm of this nature. That was Union County Fire Marshal's Office and Union County Building Code. Those folks go out into the area. Their mission is to identify and categorize damages based on classifications of minor all the way up to major. Any additional dollar amounts, that's not something we do at this stage. That's something that's handled with the property owner and their insurance. Damage that we saw, primarily property damage, as you can imagine. Very high winds, very fast moving storms, so trees down, limbs. There were some utility damage, power poles down, things of that nature. The damage to structures is everything from cosmetic damage, meaning some vinyl siding, some trim off, some shingles off, to the most significant we saw was a residence under construction that was framed with some roofing material on there that suffered some structural damage related to the winds. Most of the damage is probably concentrated within about a 2-mile area, beginning in that Ridge Road, Friendly Baptist Church area, and proceeding out towards Lawyers Road, where it looks like there was an end point of damage seen. Okay, any questions related to that? Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Like Andrew said, we are very grateful at the National Weather Service that there were no injuries with this storm. Just as a preliminary assessment, we've gone out with emergency management and the fire marshal's office, and in looking at the damage from the start point to the end point, it does look like we have a preliminary a rating of an EF1 tornado with maximum wind speeds of about 90 miles per hour. It looks like it was on the ground for approximately 2.2 miles. Like Andrew said, we issued the tornado warning this morning at 8:31 a.m. and based on radar estimates and where the first damage point was, it looks like the tornado touched down at approximately 8:34 a.m. Again, this is all preliminary data, and as we go back and we continue to evaluate, these may adjust by a minute or two here or there, but this was a very fast-moving storm, moving at about 50 miles an hour, so it was really only on the ground for about 3 minutes. So it looks like it lifted at about 8:37 a.m. So again, very fast-moving storm, was not on the ground for very long at all. And again, it was a preliminary rating of an EF1. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
So what makes this so difficult for you guys to, in terms of with it coming in along a line, what challenge does that add for you guys?
When you're looking at a line of severe thunderstorms like what we had today, this is the technical term for this was a quasi-linear convective system, otherwise known as a squall line. These types of tornadoes, they don't spin down like you might see out in the plains, they spin up. Okay, so the circulation begins at lower levels and then they spin up. So getting lots of lead time on these kinds of tornadoes is very difficult because they're smaller, they're a little harder to see, and again, they don't start rotating in the mid levels and then work their way down like a supercell. Luckily, they're not usually as big as the ones in a supercell either. But again, since they start rotating at lower levels and work their way up, we don't usually quite as much lead time on those. Our goal is to try to get about 13 minutes of lead time if we can, but with these types of storms, our lead time is usually typically a little bit lower.
We know that there's a weather radar gap in the GSP area and the coverage area that has been covered and is being addressed. Were there sufficient warnings in this case?
We use all the data that we have at our disposal to issue warnings, and we were heavily using the Charlotte, what we call the terminal Doppler weather radar, which has 1-minute data. And that was what we were using in this case to issue the warning. And by having that data at our disposal and available for our meteorologists, they're able to get out the best warnings possible in this case.
Tricia, Michael Wayne O'Neill, newspaper reporter with the Inquirer Journal. In your assessment with the Friendly Baptist Church Road situation this morning, when you took a look at everything you saw out there, do you know by any chance how many power lines were down in that area where you all looked at here? If Andrew could possibly answer the question.
So there's one area along Lawyers Road where we saw at least 6 poles in a series that were down. There was a lot of debris, flying debris that hung up on the wires, but the wires and the poles were still upright and operational. There was, at one point, 1,700 people out of power, really associated with that series of 6 down. But that was really the only power lines we saw down in any area.
Can you touch on EF1 90 miles per hour to have no injuries, no real main dwellings disrupted or even really that damaged? Can you talk about what could have been, I guess, if that were to have taken a different path?
It's hard to say. Every tornado is different across the country and even really across the southeast. About 75% of our tornadoes are the EF0, EF1. About 25% are the EF2, EF3s, and only, I mean, those numbers don't quite add up. So about 23% are EF2, EF3s, and only about 2% across the southeast, and I'm talking the Carolinas and Georgia, are the violent tornadoes. We've never had an EF5 in the Carolinas or in Georgia. That's been recorded. But if you consider fatalities, those numbers are flipped. So 75% of the fatalities are from the EF4s, and only about 2% are from the EF0s, EF1s, and those are usually either from trees falling on homes or cars, or from folks that are in mobile or manufactured homes that unfortunately start rolling, which can happen at wind speeds as low as 70, 80 miles per hour. So that's why we always tell people, if you're in a mobile or manufactured home, please find safe shelter elsewhere, and always, always, always please have multiple ways to receive warnings.
And could the school system address some questions? So, Porter Ridge High School, and can you just give your name?
Okay.
And your title?
Yes, I'm Jared McCraw. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Student Support.
And what was the damage that you all had at Porter Ridge High School?
We're still assessing that at this time. Our facilities team is still assessing that.
We had heard reports that possibly some buses were in the parking lot and were actually moved from this one. Could you confirm?
We're still looking into all those reports at this time, and once we have that information, we'll have it available.
And in terms of this time period, around 8:34, I think was the touchdown, were buses out on the roads at that time, and what did you all do?
There were some buses that were still arriving at that time. The buses either delivered the students to the schools, or they would seek shelters in other schools that were close by during the tornado warning. But our bus drivers did an excellent job today, as well as our principals, our staff, our teachers. They all did a great job in responding to this.
We know that some other districts either delayed or closed or did remote learning. Why did you all not?
We have an excellent relationship, not only with Mr. Ansley with emergency management, but our law enforcement partners. And we looked at the reports from the National Weather Service, and as a team, we made a decision to continue with school today. We thought that was what was best.
Looking back, hindsight, would you have done things differently?
I think I will say this, our team at the school, the students in the building, our staff in the building did an excellent job of following safety protocols in our buildings. We did not. We went on a regular schedule today.
What would you say to parents who do have concerns given the decision that was made not to delay school today?
I would tell them that Union County Public Schools puts the safety and security of our students and our staff as our number one priority, and our buildings are safe places for our students and staff.
One more question?
Thank you.
The Emergency Operations Center is still open at this time, so we will continue to monitor damage assessments and collect data related to the storm. But it is worth noting that this week is Severe Weather Preparedness Week, which of course is a reminder for families to always have a plan for severe weather. So I encourage families, if they don't, to come up with a family plan. In the event of a tornado warning, of course, to seek shelter in a sturdy facility away from windows on the lowest level of a home if possible. possible, and avoid being in a vehicle if you are traveling to get out and get into a brick and mortar place where you can be safe. Additionally, we encourage residents to sign up for Union County's free emergency alert system, which they can do on the Union County website. It sends notifications either to your phone or your email, and automatically sends severe weather notifications from the National Weather Service. So we will follow up with a press release with additional information shortly, and appreciate you all being here today.
You are watching live right now, a press conference wrapping up there from Union County Emergency Services, talking about what happened this morning, discussing preliminary data indicating that that was an EF1 tornado that did some damage earlier. And she said that, or they said rather, that it was on the ground for 2.2 miles, roughly a few minutes. But as we know, it doesn't take long for a tornado to do damage. They issued that tornado warning this morning, but the good news in all of this, no injuries. Exactly. Yeah. That is the good news. We are coming up on our 4 o'clock news, so join us again here right at 4. Stay here on WCNC Plus, or join us on WCNC Charlotte. We'll bring you the latest on these weather impacts and recap this morning, as well as bring you the latest on your top stories here in Charlotte.